Hi, Phyllis here. This is a story about picking blackberries. Now, this was in central North Carolina at my grandparents' house, and we visited a lot during the summertime. We lived in Virginia, but we would come down and stay for several weeks during the summer. And one of the things that happened in June, and it really went from June maybe on into July, was the blackberries got ripe. Now, blackberries grow along the edge of fields, and they don't grow right in the woods, but on the edge of fields and in the cow pasture they grew. And so we would pick the blackberries for my grandmother because she liked to make blackberry jelly. And she sort of talked us into it because everybody knew when you went and picked blackberries, you got red bugs, or as they're known further north, chiggers. And they would get in areas, you know, like under your arm, right in anywhere there was a tight area. That's where they didn't get on your face or anything, but then they made the big red bumps and they would just itch like crazy. And especially the first few days, they would just drive you nuts. And if you got a lot of them, you'd just be in misery. So we all kind of shunned blackberry picking because we all knew that you got red bugs if you went to pick blackberries. So when my grandmother was trying to talk us into it, we said, well, we don't want to get red bugs. And she said, well, oh, we can fix that. So what she did was take a little length of rag about that long and about that wide and dipped it in kerosene, kind of, you know, so it was just damp with kerosene, and would tie it on our wrists and our ankles. And guess what? It worked. You didn't get red bugs when you did that. You smell like kerosene, and you were probably flammable, but you didn't get red bugs. So we would go pick the blackberries, and she'd give us all a bucket. Well, she called it a peck bucket. So that was a lot of blackberries to pick. So it would be myself, my younger brother Randy, and my cousins Ernie and Buddy. And so the four of us would go out, and you know, we never saw any snakes or anything like that. And I remember asking my grandmother why we didn't, and she said, because y'all make so much racket coming, all kind of wildlife disappears because you're so noisy. So of course we were happy to not see any snakes, but she always had us to also pick some red berries. Go ahead and pick the ripe blackberries, but also pick some of the red ones because that's where the pectin would be. And so she didn't use, I don't remember what that stuff is called that you get, Sure Gel, that's what it's called, that you can buy in the store now. She did hers from scratch. So it would be cooking the blackberries, and then you would strain them out through, she just used like a sheet type thing and keep straining them and mashing them so you just have the juice. Then she would boil the juice and of course put sugar in it, and just you'd also have the red blackberries in there and just keep cooking it. And then she'd dip the skim off the top of the pot because she wanted her blackberry jelly to be clear, you know, or not really clear, but she didn't want that foam all over it. So she'd keep dipping that off and boiling it. And I guess she probably boiled it to the soft ball stage, and then would just pour it in the jars and seal it up, and that was that. And anything left, of course, we would have usually for whatever the next meal was, whether it was lunch or supper, we would have the blackberry jelly that had not gelled yet, and then the cream, which would be on top of the milk. You know, when you have the raw milk and the cream rises up to the top, you should dip that off, and then what you used was a hot biscuit to dip it in. It was so good. I can still taste that now. It was just delicious. But anyway, this is the way she convinced us to go blackberry picking. And of course my older sister never went blackberry picking because she didn't want to get red bugs. And so us younger grandchildren would get talked into it because we didn't know any better. We would just go do what she suggested we do, and we would eat a lot of blackberries. So when we'd get back, our teeth would be purple from all the blackberries, and our fingers too, where we had eaten them. But we also picked a lot of blackberries, and then when we would go back to Virginia, of course, she would always send back jars of blackberry jelly with us, and it would just be delicious. So anyway, that's the story about blackberries, picking blackberries, and how to not get chiggers or red bugs. All right, see you next time.